Hi, everybody. It's Joe Chaffee. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I literally was about to hit with my mouse the button I have to hit to start the live stream. I'm talking about a nanosecond, and the whole internet crashed. So I had to rebuild everything from scratch. Somehow, miraculously, I got a signal again. So let me get Joe Rayo in here. He's around somewhere. Okay, so he's coming on. This is crazy. Okay, we're on the air because I got the start button. Can I have a little audio?
Hello.
Hello, thank you.
Wait a minute. Here's a blast from the past.
No, no, no,
Hello.
no, no, no. I have to tell. This has been
Guess who
this.
I was imitating just now, right?
Yes, um, I was. I had no signal for a show up until about 7:20, and all of a sudden I got a hookup. So I'm just about to hit. I literally had my finger on the mouse to hit the start button to start the live stream. I was going to start it and then bring you in because I didn't want to take a shot, and then the whole thing just collapsed. So anyway, we're here. We're here. That's the most important thing. So you know what? First things first is uh, let's let's do a little business. And the
Yes.
Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by, as it is every night, Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider and a provider of everything you need when it comes to dealing with winter storms. Should we get any in the coming weeks? And maybe we will. Maybe we won't. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125. They service all of the tri-state area. They have the best prices in town. They not only have all the rock salt you need, but they have all the snow melt products out there, including Petalo, which I'm told is the best on the market. So head out to Omni True Value Hardware and be ready because they're ready for the next winter storm. So we do have, whoops,
David Fuller.
yes,
David
okay.
Fuller, thank you for hitting super chats. First one on the board tonight to do that.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you, David. David's been sending me the EPO graphic every day, and I do appreciate it because I don't always get to see it. But it particularly with everything I'm juggling right now, I'm waiting for a mattress. Believe it or not,
Okay.
the
Who was the first to
Am-
conquer space?
no, no. It's not
And the
that kind
first
of
to
mattress.
conquer.
Um, No, I'm waiting for a delivery from Amazon. I ordered a mattress online, so
Okay.
yeah, but they said it should be delivered sometime before 9 p.m. Eastern time. This I gotta
9 p.m.
see.
tonight.
Yes,
Tonight?
tonight. It's a 65.
Okay. Well,
It,
you got an
the
hour and 20 minutes to
I know
go.
the post office is delivering this,
Okay.
so this is gonna be interesting to see if they show up because
Yes.
otherwise it's on the couch again tonight. All right, so I looked a little bit today because I did have my hands full. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna put the weight on you tonight as far as what you think is going to happen down the road because I didn't get to look at all the models. Just a cursory
Joe, I really,
glance.
it's the same old story, really, and the level of confidence in any of the models is very low. I mean, I'm saying to myself, okay, you got a storm passing by to our south um, for tomorrow night, and we've got another system coming by perhaps early next week around the 20th or 21st. And then there's yet another one behind that around the 24th. And I'm saying to myself, it's one after another. It's like on a conveyor belt.
Right.
But whether or not any of these score a direct hit or somehow end up moving a little bit to our south or to our north,
And how much
I can't
room?
tell you.
And how in the blocky nature of the atmosphere, how much room is there? That's the other big question. Is it going to get
Right.
suppressed or not? That's going to be important. By the way, Adam Lowe brings up something really important. Think back. Remember last year when we had The NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation numbers were at like +4, +5, and westerly winds across the Atlantic. Well, guess what? Today, zonal westerlies are at a record low. So we have completely obliterated the records of last year by taking it in the and this I know you would agree with me. I find this happens a lot where whenever something extreme happens within a short period of time, the other extreme comes along to nullify it. You divide it by two, and it works out perfectly to average. I
Right,
mean, really, to
right.
think about it, a year ago, we were talking about how record westerly winds, an absolute ruler across the North Atlantic, uh, couldn't get anything out of it from the for snow lovers, and now we're at the other extreme with record lows, and guess what? We still can't get anything out of it unless you're in the
Yeah.
North Georgia mountains where it snowed here 2 days ago.
Well, like I said, I'm looking. I'm even looking right now at the 18Z, which I rarely ever do, but it's showing the same stuff, Joe. I mean, we've got one storm tomorrow night that probably will be bringing us a fairly good amount of rainfall to much of the area, and then we have another system that's going to try to move on through during the day on inauguration day, the 20th, next Wednesday. Then another system follows behind that for later Thursday and Thursday night, yet another system passing by mostly
Right.
to our south on Friday the 22nd. I mean, it's one after another after another. There's nothing that you can really get your teeth into that you could point to and say, there it is. There's the storm that's going to make the difference, because it just,
Well, and
that
you
kind of
got to
thing.
have. I did notice that the first one of the bunch, you could barely find it on the 500 millibar map. There's hardly a short wave. It's just like a little kink that moves along. So it's more overrunning than anything else. And sometimes with overrunning, we could do pretty. You could do pretty well with an overrunning event, but there's not a whole lot of support. So that is something you're gonna have to pay attention to. And are you going to be able to get a good solid shortwave to come out and do something in this flow, in this blocky? And this brings up another point. I always get we never have a block, we never have a block, there's never any blocking. Okay, guess what? You've got so much blocking now that you can't do anything with it. So be careful what you wish for. And always remember, folks, the pattern change you want and the pattern change you get are most of the time they're two different things. And you have a very, very high probability of being left unhappy. So just bear that in mind. I know, Mike, the
And
connection. I know the connection's a little bit soggy tonight, but it's the best I can do.
the one of the people here where I live, he is actually the town supervisor, uh, went on his Facebook page yesterday and was talking about how, oh, we've got a few more days of this, but we're going to see the Siberian Express come our way, a
I
very
wish I,
cold
I
blow.
wish they wouldn't do that. Why did they say stuff like that? Why?
Well, I
Why?
pointed out to I
Why?
pointed out to him that over the next 7 days, I don't see any Siberian Express coming. In fact, it's going to be maybe averaging 4 or 5 degrees above the norm. The norm up where I live here is about 34, 35 in the afternoon. And it looks like over the next week or so, we're going to be seeing daily highs at least hitting 40. I don't see anything that would suggest an exceedingly cold or frigid. Now, of course, if you go to Japan or China or Russia or most of Europe, that's where all the frigidity is, but it doesn't appear anywhere near this part of the world right now and in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, just everybody, just if it's looking choppy, I get it. It's not. There's nothing I can do about it tonight. Somebody mentioned that there's no cable where I am. Actually, there is. I'm grabbing. I'm doing satellite stuff. The problem is, it's not the download speed it's the upload speed, and uh, I'm I have to find the right spot to get good upload speed up to the bird upstairs. And last night was okay, but today I'm having some, obvious difficulty. So, I bear that in mind. I apologize for the choppiness of the video if you're getting a choppy show tonight. But then again, I'm Joe Choppy, so what can I tell you? That's believe me, I would. If I, I'm not doing this on purpose. So just so you know. So let's do a little weather here. Let's go to tonight because we actually have. I think we may still have some blizzard warnings up in the northern plains. So I'll bring the map up here and then we'll go from there. I'm trying to minimize issues. I shut a lot of my windows down, so I'm gonna have to. I'm pulling windows up one at a time just to,
Are they Anderson?
if only. But yeah, hey, blizzard warning up for southwestern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, northwestern Mizzou. They're getting hammered with some pretty good winds out that way, 40 to 50 in some places.
Well, out there they do get winter storms with lots of wind. In fact, the late humorist Gene Shepard. I don't know how many of you were big fans of old Shep when he was on the radio in the '60s and '70s here in New York and also across the country. Gene Shepard, by the way, was the guy who wrote the script for the movie The Christmas Story, which is run ad nauseum on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on I think TBS and TNT. But in any case, he used to write. He once wrote a story about a Wyoming screamer, Joe. I mean, like, he's looking out the window, the snow's going sideways, the winds are blowing at like 40 or 50 miles an hour, howling and yowling. And I would suppose that the kind of storm that he wrote about is the kind of storm that they're seeing right now in at least parts of the Dakotas and Iowa and Minnesota with all that wind.
Guess look at this map I just drew up just to show you the problem I'm having tonight. It's this is really weird. This is
what
from
is
the Weather
that?
Service. This is the hazards map. They must be having some real problems here because, yeah, I wanted to pull up at least some obs out where we've got the blizzard warning up.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of A's and E's and a couple of C's.
Yeah, oh, here we go. Here we go. Finally, it's straightened itself out here. So I'm just trying to see if we've got some big, look like the wind gusts right now are running on the order of about 25 to 35. I mean, I was expecting to see some bigger numbers here, but there's a gust of 48. There's some gusts of 40, like Omaha right now is 37-21, northwest at 35, gusting to 40. Uh, uh, Tacoma Municipal Airport, 37-25, northwest at 35, gusting to 48. Wayne in Nebraska is 36-23, 40 sustained, 48 miles an hour. There you go. Now we're getting the big gusts up in further north. Just so before the numbers disappeared. There they go. Now they're back. 52 at Yankton Chan Gurney Municipal. 45 gusting to 52. 63 Plankinton, I believe that's South Dakota I'm looking at. Plankton, South Dakota, Joe, is 38 from the northwest. Just had a gust of 63. 63 miles an hour.
What's the
Watertown,
temperature out there?
um, Plankton was 34. Watertown,
Okay.
Watertown Municipal Airport in South Dakota is 28-27 dew point, northwest at 41. I'm sorry, northwest at 26, gusting to 41, 3/4 of a mile in light snow. They don't mention about blowing snow, but I got to imagine that snow has to be blowing around. And in terms of snow amounts, we're not looking at foot plus snows here. We're looking at amounts on the order of maybe the highest areas are going to be in a range of about 6 to 8 inches across northwestern Iowa and into southern Minnesota. You can see some of the numbers here. 4 inch amounts or so across Wisconsin, 2 to 4 inches in northern Wisconsin, 2 to 3 inches across northern Minnesota, and an inch or less once you go west of the state lines of Iowa, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska. You're only talking about a coating to an inch or two. So, but it's really about the wind and the visibility. And as far as eventually work, this is, by the way, into Sunday evening, total snowfall. Some hefty amounts being generated in parts of upstate New York, Joe. Also, even as far south as the Catskills, with a couple of inches there. But some 10-inch plus amounts in the southern Adirondack, north of I-90. Uh, some 10 to 12-inch amounts up in the Adirondacks, and also just east of the eastern shore of Lake Ontario, looking at some maybe some lake effect getting involved eventually.
That's
So
that's the other water town.
yes. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to swing my map down into the southeast because a coating to an inch or two is forecast from the Weather Service as far south as the Georgia North Carolina state line. And I'm only about 10 miles, 10, 15, about 10 or 15 miles from the North Carolina state line. So I
You're
may
probably
have a
going to see
shot to see some stuff here again.
you're probably going to see more snow down there than we're going to see up here. So
Not impossible. Hey, Joe
Adam,
Rayos monitoring the chat board. So, uh, Joe, just to give it let me know if there's any kind
I,
of problems.
I was just about to say Adam Lowe on the chat board just posted U.S. snow cover is at 25.3%, the second lowest this century for this date. So only about a quarter of the, I would presume when they talk about U.S. snow cover, I'm going to assume that U.S. meaning contiguous U.S.,
Yeah.
not including Alaska, 25.3%, second lowest this century for this, the 14th day of January. Incredible.
Well,
But I do think, Joe, I've been saying all along, I think we're going to more than make up for it when we get into February and
well,
March.
maybe this conveyor belt pattern that seems to be showing up. Maybe that's the prelude to it. You look,
Right.
it isn't just. Excuse me. It isn't just our area that's not getting any snow. Um, as Adam's statistic pointed out, it's a large portion of the country. Uh, Snow lovers they always feel burned if somebody else is getting it and not them. But everybody, if you're a snow lover in a lot of areas in the U.S., you're being neglected here. So this is the block. The blocking high is in the geographic position that it's set up is not favorable for storm development, at least for the time being, and it also has led us to be relatively dry. Uh, what are we now? This is day 11 of no rain, no precip.
Um, 10, 10.
10. All right. Well, that
Last
streaks.
time, the last time I think at least Central Park had the last time that they had precip was January 4th. Although I should point out, Joe, up here this morning, the ground was actually a little wet and there may have been some very light snow flurries that came on through during the overnight hours up here that it didn't whiten the ground, it wet the ground a bit. And maybe we've got all of maybe uh, 0.005 inch of rain here.
Okay.
But like everybody else, we're in the midst of this long-term spell of dry weather, which I hope will be broken a little bit by late tomorrow and tomorrow night.
Well, WPC gives us between a quarter and a half of liquid here, and I guess from judging from now, this is through next. Hang on, I'm just want to make sure the map is centered. This is through next Wednesday. Well, this is Thursday night, so why doesn't that say 0Z Friday? That's that's odd. There we go. Now it's updated. Okay, so now we've got it through 0Z Friday. So actually, perhaps WPC is picking up here on and something happening later next week because they've got an inch. They've got actually a little stripe of an inch and a half of liquid over Long Island and Western Connecticut, oddly enough. And the 1 inch line goes back to the New Jersey PA state line, and also seeing it up in the Hudson Valley. So, and all of the Northeast showing quite a bit of precip actually. So maybe they got something on their mind. I don't know. We also see big precip numbers down in the lower Mississippi Valley, northeast Texas, southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, on the order of 3 inches or more. Not too shabby going on in the west. Not too much going on in the west. It's quieted down a bit. Even in the Pacific Northwest and into California, they're getting a bit of a break. The probability of at least 2 inches over the next 72 hours from WPC, and then I'm going to bring up the long range. But here's their probability of at least two, and they've got a 50% probability or more down into eastern West Virginia. This, by the way, goes right until this was issued earlier today. So let's refresh it again. I don't know why. Oh no, I know why. Never mind. I know why. My internet issues. So yeah, here's the new map. So this is as of 12:35 Greenwich time was the forecast, and they've got a probability of at least two, extending down. The 50% probability of at least two goes into northeastern Tennessee, runs up through West Virginia. You start to get some 90 and even 95% probability of at least two. Northwest PA, Western New York, Northern New York, interior New England, Vermont, New Hampshire, up into Maine, or at least away from the coastal areas. Also, you're seeing a large probability of at least two going with what's going on tonight in Minnesota, up and down into Iowa, and extending down almost, but not quite to St. Louis. With where the 40 to 50% line for at least two. And Chicago, funny Joe, Chicago is sitting in between two high areas of probability, of higher probability. They're in the 20 to 30% range. You go northwest by 100 miles, and you're talking 60 to 70% probability. If you go northeast by about 100 miles, you go also a 60 to 70% probability. They're in a bit of a hole. So as I said, folks, this is for snow lovers, everybody is having issues here. Now let's bring up. I'm going to bring up the day 4 to 8 outlook. The next, see if they have anything. Doesn't look like
Garrow,
they do.
Garrow Vestas on our chat board, and he's addressing me saying, Joe Rayo, Weather Channel is saying 8 to 12 inches for the Catskills, Wyndham, by my house. And I'm not saying that you don't live up there, Garrow, but what I am saying is, what is the Weather Channel looking at if they're calling for 8 to 12 inches of snow? I don't see
Yeah,
it.
somebody
Joe
else
just,
mentioned this to me earlier today. Where are they getting this? I mean, honestly,
I
where are
don't
they
know.
getting this? I'll bring up the European. I didn't get a chance to look at the European. Is this today's? No, this was last night's European snow map. Where in the next 10 days, I mean, they did have a band of 3 to 5 inches across southern New Jersey down into Delaware to about D.C. and a coating to a couple of inches as you go further north. So they actually had the European was showing something being suppressed to the south. On the new European today, oh, now we know why. Okay, so the European must have done something. Again, folks, I've had my hands full today, so I really didn't get a chance to look at the entire model run here. But that's probably where they got it from. They their their models are they're they depend
European
heavily.
driven.
Yeah, that. Thank you. Yes, they're European driven, and the
Right.
European does show some big snow amounts up through the Catskills and points north of up the Hudson Valley. Basically north and west of 84. But it also gives a few inches down near the coast too, all the way down to Washington D.C. I
Oh, then it must be true.
Then it must be true. It has to be. It must be. These maps, by the way, courtesy of pivotalweather.com. I'll bring up the European surface map just to see what in the name of God it's doing here. So let's take a look. I looked at it so fast I didn't even see. I didn't even. I, I spent very little time on it today. So
Somebody also brought up on the chat board that Bernie Rayno is the chief meteorologist at AccuWeather. And this shows you how much I'm out of touch with AccuWeather because you and I, Joe, grew up listening to people like, and I know that Elliot Abrams is retired after 50 years.
right.
Couple of years ago, he retired. And Dr. Joel Myers is the owner of AccuWeather, but you never hear him on the radio or see him on television anymore. But I guess he's more behind the scenes. So whatever happened to Dr. Joe Sobel? Is he still with them,
I have
or
no idea.
uh, I
I
have
have
no clue
no idea. He
that Bernie,
probably retired.
it's
Probably
oh gosh,
retired. So
they're all of our era. They're all from our era. So I
yeah.
guess yeah, it's not out of the question that they're retired as well. So Bernie is now the chief meteorologist, according to somebody here on the chat board, and that person said he's totally opposite. He's the, the polar opposite of Joe Chiappi, whereas he'll go for everything and anything in terms of snow or storms. You, Mr. Chiappi, are much more conservative.
Boy, I okay. I'll take that as a compliment.
New York
I
Jet
would just
fan
I would just say I
1991.
would just say the important part is getting it right, whether you're conservative or I take shots sometimes when I see meteorologically speaking. Uh, I'll take shots when I think it's worth taking shots. I'm not going to do it every single time. Now I pulled up the European, Joe. This is for Thursday night. It's got a not a half bad looking surface here with a high up in northern Maine. I'm sorry, in western Maine, a 95 low near St. Louis, and the isobars are all pushed out across Virginia and down into Delaware. The high's trying to wedge in, and it's got snow pretty much from New Jersey, except maybe the southernmost part of it of the state, but southeast PA up into the Hudson Valley, into the Connecticut. This is on the 180 hour, and on the 186. It brings it looks like, I guess what this looks like is it tries to show some kind of front end thumping with a low that's almost near Chicago. But the isobars, see, here's the thing. You've got this negative NAO that's at work. It's going to want to suppress systems to the south. This seems like all of a sudden we've got a 989 low in a pattern like this where we haven't seen anything close to anything like that. But it's got a 989 low, Joe, near Chicago, and still snowing here on Long Island and northern New Jersey and in the Hudson Valley. Sleet and freezing rain just to the south of there at 186 and at
Now, when you say
192
Thursday, you're talking about next Thursday, correct?
a week from today.
January
Well,
21st.
yeah, a week from today and tomorrow, and then next
Okay.
Friday. Next Friday, it's got a 982 low near Detroit, and it's still we're still dealing with freezing precipitation here because of the fact that there's this, the block and the high that's parked up in Quebec and just kind of wedging down. So the European
Well,
is showing a fairly interesting situation here. But again,
well,
how real is it? I don't know.
the 540 on the European that I'm looking at, this is from another provider, shows the 540 line is up near Tim Beltman's house in around the Albany area, and the 546 line is almost cutting Westchester County straight in half.
Right.
Now, you could argue that between the 540 and the 546, that's probably where you're going to get a kind of a mixed bag of snow and ice and sleet and rain. But then below 546, all of Long Island and all of New Jersey, save
Right.
for the extreme northwest corner, is probably raining, not
Well,
snowing.
what time period are you looking at? Because
That's 12Z. That's 12Z.
12Z Friday.
Right.
12Z
January
Friday,
22nd.
it's just about over with right after that. So I don't know, Joe. Now we've got you got a 978 primary low that goes to Lake Huron. There's some kind of secondary near Atlantic City, and you got a high in eastern Canada that's wedging down. I don't know. This just seems, the European has led us on a number of adventures lately. None of them have turned out too well. So I would be really cautious just off one run. Certainly, given all the inconsistencies that we've seen, you can't, it's all fine and dandy. Now at least we know where they're coming from because a lot of a lot of these weather apps, the weather apps that are out there are all there's no human input there. It's all model forecasts. So when models go from run to run and they change, the app forecasts change, and then you suddenly you're sitting here, as Garrow said, you've got a forecast for up in the Catskills of a foot to a foot and a half. If the models suddenly decide on the next run that's not going to be there, that the storm, this storm system, is either a lot weaker or doesn't even exist, then suddenly in 6 hours you'll hear a forecast for partly sunny.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm looking at this upper air too, Joe.
This has not been this has not been the Europeans' year. In fact, come to think of it, Joe, last winter wasn't the Europeans' winter either.
No,
What has
I
happened to the
agree. I
what
agree.
happened to the vaunted European?
Well, look, I think from the standpoint of the models, if you want to make a case for this, the models work well when the atmosphere is relatively normalized. Okay. But when you start doing things like we're doing now, or last year, for example, we mentioned early in the show about the record westerly winds across the Atlantic because the NAO was what was it, like at 4 standard deviations or 5 standard deviations above the mean positive. I mean, that's a really stretched out atmosphere, and I've always felt that these models, when you have these situations where these teleconnections are off the wall in terms of what they're measuring, that it just doesn't know how to handle it. So you get these crazy inconsistencies that develop. I'm looking at it, pulled up the GFS 500 here. There's actually this system here for Friday. This cutoff low that wraps up into New England. There's actually a decent trough that's behind it for Monday, but there's not going to be much for it to work on because of the lead system. It just kind of gets squashed, and then it doesn't do the same idea, the same thing that the European does. It has a much flatter look here for later next week and beyond. I mean, both models are very blocky. If you look up in the Arctic region and up over Greenland, you've got higher than normal pressures and heights. Over Alaska and over the Aleutians, you've got really higher than normal heights. When you got that purple area there expanding, that's all part of that whole mess that's going on there with the stratosphere and the warming that's happening. But you've got this really out of control blocky look, and there's no sign of this breaking down anytime soon.
Right. Right. And that's what makes it so hard. People are saying, when are we going to get the snow? When are we going to get the cold? When are we going to? And they say, can't you look out, 10, 15 days ahead? Well, who wants to do that in this pattern? You don't even want to go out 5 days. As I said at the onset of our broadcast tonight, the confidence level is exceedingly low, much lower than normal, I think.
Yeah, no, and it's going to stay that way. It's just going to stay that way. Then every run's going to take us on a new, as I said, every run's going to wind up taking us on a new adventure, and who knows where it's all going to wind up at the end of the day. So let's real quick
Right.
run. We're going to run through. Let me run through the GFS really quick here. Then we'll go on to. We'll do a little Briller Jeopardy, and I actually have a. Um, Dave Schwartz sent me something, and I think it's worth asking you about. So I want to see if you could get the answer to this question, but we'll get to it in a minute. So the spinning storm weakens and moves eastward. You see how the surface low, just kind of rotates counterclockwise there, and then disappears. and then a second wave develops in Northern Virginia. We get rain Friday night into Saturday morning. The GFS is back to showing some heavy rain here Saturday morning, Joe, especially from New York City east into New England, and then that front lifts out. I think we're going to see some decent lake effect snow Saturday night and Sunday in western New York and western Pennsylvania. And then we wait to see what happens for later next week. There's a system that rolls across the lakes on the GFS. And you notice that the GFS is not in the same page as the European. It's got a much more suppressed low that comes out for late next week. So we'll punt for the next 3 or 4 runs before we figure out what's going to come out of this. Because I just think the European's a little bit is way overdone with what it's showing today.
The chairman is on the board, and he says, I had break from my COVID hospital job for breaking Briller brief. Central Park has officially recorded a trace in January. No record. 1889, 1890, January had zero, nada. So we're not in line for that because
So we got the
I guess
trace.
the little flurry that passed over my house last night, it apparently passed over Central Park and has led them to put a trace down. So far, January has a trace. We're not quite halfway done through the month, but there you go.
Well, so for all the weenies who jumped off the cliff and said that it was never going to snow again for the rest of the winter, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
Okay, so there.
Remembering last January, I think we actually had at Central Park a couple of inches of
Yeah.
snow. It was snow that fell on a Saturday. I remember. I think it was not this weekend, but the following weekend. It wasn't the Martin Luther King weekend or holiday weekend, but we actually had more snow in January than I think we had in February and March. So this year, I guess January, a trace of snow.
Yeah, exactly. I was popping up the icon model to see if, and the Canadian. I mean, they all look different. They all have a different vision of whatever's going to happen later next week. Uh, the Canadian looks like it's the coldest, with a low that goes to southern Ohio and then just redevelops straight to the east, so that it stays mostly snow from central New Jersey north. So you've got all sorts of things on the table, and don't be too surprised, by the way, if after all is said and done, the way things have been going lately with this block, that everything winds up getting suppressed to the south, and it'll be snowing here in North Georgia where I am.
Yes.
Exactly. So hang on, I'll bring us back full screen here. Where am I? Okay.
I
Order
don't
to
know.
the top.
You're in Georgia.
There we go. All right. So, uh, all this technical stuff today is. I'm literally sitting here on pins and needles at 7:20, thinking, are we going to get a show? Are we not going to get a show? So hang on one second. So,
Mr. Brillo says it was 19 snow flurries slash Central Park recorded a trace.
hang on, Joe. All right. So, we're still here. I'm sorry, folks. It's been one of these really weird nights where technically it's just been an absolute mess. And now, of course, everybody's just messaging me at the same time. I'm doing a show, Okay, I'm bringing up Scott Briller. Let's get this. Let's do Briller Jeopardy first. Okay, and so here we go. Name the 10 Canadian provinces. You need to get 7 of them right in order to pass this part of this quiz today.
Okay. The 10 Canadian provinces.
Yes.
We'll start with British Columbia,
Ding,
Alberta,
ding,
British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba,
ding, ding,
Ontario,
ding,
Quebec,
Ding. Wait. Ding.
Okay, that's 6 so
Yeah,
far.
I hesitated because you never know from day to day whether Quebec is leaving Canada or not.
That's true. Prince Prince Edward Island,
Ding.
Nova Scotia,
Ding.
Newfoundland.
Ding.
Um, now, are the territories
You have one left.
none of it?
No, you have one left.
Yukon,
Uh,
Labrador,
Labrador. Yeah, that's it.
Labrador.
You got him. So you got
Okay.
all 10.
What?
I I
You just
didn't
said something over the
I
loudspeaker or
didn't
whatever.
realize that Prince Edward Island was its own province.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because it's
Charlottetown. That's the capital of Prince Edward
no, I
Island.
understand, but
Wait a minute.
it's
Hold on. Hold on. But what about New Brunswick?
New Brunswick. Yeah, it's on the list. Did you say? I thought maybe you said New Brunswick.
No, I didn't. I didn't say New
Well, you
Brunswick.
said it now.
Oh, all right.
All right, so you got credit. All right, now here's one. Here's one. Let's see if you get this one. Okay, so hang on. This is gonna take me a second here to get the question, but it was such an interesting question, and it's all about. It's a TV question, so just come on. It's everything is loading very slowly.
Meanwhile, while we're waiting, we're only at 96 likes, 97 likes. Add 3,
Just
please.
add 3, please.
Can we get 3?
Bring
And
it
Joe,
to
now
$100.
we have 4 thumbs down. I don't know who's giving us the thumbs
I
down
don't
back there,
care.
but
You know what? Seriously, if you don't like the show and you spend time watching it, that's your business. You know,
100, we hit it.
you
Thank
might
you.
want to
Thank you
find
very much.
something better to do if you don't like the show very much, like maybe cleaning your bathroom, which you haven't cleaned in years. Anyhow, um, sorry, but you know me, Joe. I just kind of spew it sometimes. All right. So this is David Schwartz's question. I thought this was a really interesting question. So let me see. I'll be impressed. I mean, I'm always impressed with what with you and that. But I would really take it up to the next level if you get this. So what TV show in the '70s? All right.
Right.
What TV show did the show Emergency spin off from?
Did it spin off of Adam 12?
That is correct. Now, let's see if you get this one. What show did
Okay.
Adam 12 spin off from?
Dragnet?
Again, correct. And all 3 shows were produced by?
Mark 7. You
No,
remember
not Mark.
Jack Webb.
Jack Webb.
Right.
I thought you were
Did
going.
you know?
I thought you were going to say Harvey Schmidlap.
No. Did you know that Jack Webb was going to try to come back with Dragnet in the early 80s and his partner was going to be, I think, Scott McCord?
Yes, I
And
remember hearing about that.
and unfortunately, Mr. Webb, you know, passed away before he
Jack
had a chance
Webb,
to
by
get
the
that
way,
role.
if you want to see him in a younger earlier role, and check out the Sunset Boulevard, the 1950 movie Sunset Boulevard with Gloria
Uh-huh.
Swanson and oh good God, his face is right in front of me. Oh Lord, I'm drawing a blank. William Holden. And William Holden. Jack Webb's in that movie. And very young Jack Webb, and it's not a small part either. I mean,
Hey,
it's more than just a walk on.
I'm a big fan of old time radio, and before Dragnet was on radio before it made it onto television,
Hmm.
but before Dragnet, Jack Webb had another crime drama on radio where he played the role of a detective named Pat Novak, and that was truly early Jack Webb. That goes back like into the mid 1940s, and from Pat Novak, he eventually landed into the Dragnet role, and then that carried over into well, it was a 1950s television staple, and then it came back with Harry Morgan as his partner in the late 60s. We had Dragnet
Yeah.
1967, 68, 69, 70. Yeah. And Dragnet, by the way, and Jack Webb gave some great monologues, great
Oh
soliloquies
yeah, yeah.
on the dangers of marijuana.
I know,
And I
and
think about it.
always, uh, this sort of very straight, unemotional. But he actually did a lot. He worked. He worked with the L.A. Police Department. So he was. It wasn't. He was very serious about the show that he did about Dragnet.
Oh yeah, he was very much into that. Now, there was a question that was thrown to me about a week ago by Tim Veltman, and now Tim, it's now it's time to play the game of bringing that question back up again. I'm trying to find you. If you sent it to me on Messenger, I should be able to see it, but I think he actually messaged me, and if I don't have it now, I will look for it and I'll get it for you either tomorrow or on Sunday, Joe. So I can't find it at the moment.
All right. So
So
tomorrow is Friday. We usually don't do a show on Friday, so and we don't do a show on Saturday. So I guess we're going to have to wait till Sunday, and that's going to be a
I,
big question for me. Hopefully, everybody is not doing anything where I can get the satellite all to myself. So we'll have a show. Hey, worst comes to worst, I'll take it I'll take it out of the mountains. I'll take it into town. I'll sit on a as long as the sun is out. Um, it's comfortable. It up here at this elevation, and plus being much further south. Even though today the temperature was on the high this afternoon, it was the low this morning was 27. The high was 47. But I was outside there with temperatures in the mid 40s. It actually felt quite nice. No wind. The sun was out. You could feel the heat of the sun on your shoulders. So if I have to, I'll take the show outdoors and I'll get I'll go wherever I have to go to get a signal going on Sunday.
we got to 43 here in Putnam Valley today, so it was nice. And I got the last of the Christmas outdoor decorations down. Took down the big wreath, got out the little giant ladder, climbed the 20 feet all the way up to the top where the roof peak is, and unhooked the lights. And anyway, they're all down now. So
Good.
Christmas is, at least outside, is officially over. Although we still have the tree up, the trees, I should say. We have two trees, and that I guess will be our assignment for the upcoming weekend.
All right.
Although if it were up to me, I'd keep the trees up, for the rest of the year. What the hell?
And the U.S. Postal Service has 35 minutes to get my mattress here. We'll see if they make it.
Good luck.
All right. All right. So, thanks everybody for being here. And again, my apologies with the problems I'm having here with the internet signal. Hopefully, I can get it. It gets better in the next couple of weeks as I start to figure out just exactly how things work uh, around here. And in the meantime, well, actually, I'll be back long before that because I'm not. I'm coming back up in about a week to 10 days, depending on. I'm waiting for my kids to be well so I can see them. So,
Yes.
which is very frustrating when your kids are not feeling well and you want to see them and you can't. So I'm waiting for that, and then once I know, I can figure out what my next move is as far as heading back up north. Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider and a provider of everything you need when it comes to winter weather cleanups. Whether it's rock salt, shovels, snow blowers, or pedalo, ice pellets and flakes, ice melting pellets and flakes, Omni True Value Hardware has it all. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. Joe, have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Tomorrow or Sunday?
I'm sorry, Sunday. We'll see you on Sunday. I'm
Thank you.
confused. Good night,
Bye.
everybody.